I'm going to tell you about the books that I read in June. My June wrap up, if you will. I have been DNFing a lot. I feel like, you know what, I think it's been a while that I've been saying that. I think it feels like now it's been quite a few months, if not going on a year, that I've been saying, I've been DNFing a lot lately. I've been allowing myself to DNF lately, la 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 la. It still feels like a novelty because I think it's still not something that comes naturally to me. It still feels like a radical choice that I'm making. It still feels quite brutal, and maybe the way that I am DNFing is brutal. Like sometimes I give a book 20 pages and I'm like, nah. And not because the book is terrible or anything, but I'm just like, not now, it's not working for me, I'm not 100% obsessed with it, there are so many other books for me to read, not this, not right now. And that approach is reflective of my career, I suppose. Like, I am a bookseller, I'm a book buyer, and I'm a literary influencer, and so I do have this mindset of like needing to read and familiarize myself with as many books as possible, and I'm not a fast reader, and so that can be very stressful, and like a stupid problem to have, not a real problem. But yeah, I think that like if I pick up a book and it's not like I'm not having the most amazing time completely engrossed by it, then there's no reason for me to spend my time on it, because at the end of the day, like, yes, all of this is my work, but I read because I enjoy reading. I read for enjoyment. So if I'm not enjoying myself while I'm reading, why am I reading that book? You know? So yeah, all that is to say, I DNF'd, I feel like I DNF'd more, but I DNF'd 2 books in June. This one, I think I got to oh, here we go, we've got okay, I've got way further into it than I thought I did. I got 112 pages into Wife House by Sonya Walger. Sonya Walger is an actress. Apparently she was in Lost, but I think she might have come into it in like a later season that I didn't get up to. I think I only watched the first 2 seasons of Lost. This is her debut novel, I believe. It's about a housewife who is gifted French lessons from a friend of hers, and so this like young French guy starts coming to her house to teach her French, and supposedly she has an affair with him, or something along those lines. And Wife House is sort of a play on like the translation of housewife when she's talking to him, something along those lines. So I was like, that sounds fantastic. I love an affair plot. Love, 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 love an affair plot. Maybe a problematic trope of mine. Trope. Oh my goodness. Does she talk about books? Maybe a problematic trait of mine, my j'adoration of affair plots. Sorry, I gave myself... I glitched when I said that horrendous French-English hybrid word, j'adoration. Anyways, I was really excited, and I got to 111 pages and there's still no affair happening. And I just kind of lost patience, and I was like, sorry, you're not giving me what you promised me. I'm not waiting over 100 pages for the main thing that you told me would happen to happen. Goodbye, sorry. It was like quite a nice story. The thing that like drew me in a lot is that it's blurbed by Miranda Cowley Haller, and Paper Palace is one of my favorite books I've ever read. I think that Miranda Cowley Haller is an incredible writer. I even read her poetry collection, and I don't really get poetry. I don't do poetry. I don't have the mind for it, I don't think. Sometimes I'll read a poem and be like, wow, that's beautiful. And most of the time I read a poem and be like, I don't really get it. Unfortunately, it's just not for my brain, I don't think. But anyway, I read Miranda Cowley Haller's poetry collection. Yeah, I think that she is a beautiful writer. And so on the front cover of this, she goes, reads like a storm in a soundproof room. I absolutely loved it. Here's the thing. I think Miranda and Sonya are friends. So, yeah. The writing wasn't all that. I think, yeah, it could be a nice book. It could be something that someone would enjoy, but it wasn't for me in that moment, unfortunately. I was bored and the affair was not happening. The next one that I DNF'd was also really disappointing, more disappointing, I bought this with my own money because it just sounded freaking incredible. Hexes of the Deadwood Forest by, sorry, this is a Polish name with a lot of letter combinations that my English speaking tongue is not familiar with. Agnieszka Spila. I don't know. So yeah, translated from Polish by Scotia Gilroy. This has a really, really, really crazy sounding synopsis on the back of it, and I first read the synopsis when I was doing the buying for the shop that I work for, and so I saw it like quite a few months before it came out, and I was like, holy shit, that sounds insane, that sounds incredible. And then I like went over to my colleagues and I was like, listen to this, and I read out the synopsis for them, and it was just like a whole thing, and I was so excited for it. So when it came out finally, I purchased it immediately. Unfortunately, I think maybe it's the translation. I feel like I want to blame the translation because I want to blame the writing, but of course the writing is obscured by the translation, and so I think that it's a little overdone, overwritten. It felt quite sort of clunky and drawn out, and there's just sort of too much going on. I think it needed to be stripped back a little more. Not the plot, the actual writing, which is really disappointing. I do think as well, like what the synopsis promises is it of a different energy to what is actually inside of the book. We spend a lot more time in history within the book than the synopsis suggests. The synopsis suggests that our protagonist from today is transported somehow back in time to a different kind of sort of world. But when we, the reader, are transported to that other world, that other moment in history, the protagonist is not there with us, or at least it doesn't feel that the protagonist is there with us. So I don't know, maybe there's something that lost me, or I got confused about what was going on, but for a lot of it, I found that I would suddenly realize that I'd been zoned out for the last few pages, and that's never a good sign, because the writing is not able to hold me. It's not drawing me into the story. I'm just glazing over at the words. And then I got to 250 pages of 350, kind of. Yeah. So there's 100 more pages to go, and I just decided, what am I doing? Why am I pushing on with this? It's not giving me what I wanted it to give me, and again, there are so many other books for me to get to. I've got the gist of this now, and unfortunately it wasn't what I wanted it to be. It wasn't what I thought it would be. So yeah, it's a shame. I know that there are a couple of book clubs / bookstores around that are doing it for their book club. I would love to hear from anyone else who has read this book, what they thought of it. And if you haven't already, like, go and read the synopsis for this and let me know if it's something that you're drawn into immediately, because I do think that it is. Like, it's crazy. It sounds so good. But yeah, just something about the writing. It was just too much. It was too much. It didn't do it for me. It's so horny as like, yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. I don't think I can recommend it. But I'm going to tell you what I do recommend, and I'm going to jump right into my favorite read of the month, because it is honestly really similar to Hexes of the Deadwood Forest in many ways, but just so incredibly written. So well done. Oh my god, I just leant on the back cover and folded it. Lol. Anyway, I'm not precious. It's The Endling by Keely Job. Now, yes, this did come out pretty much at the same time as Endling by Maria Reva. So unfortunate clashing of endlings. Obviously, Endling by Maria Reva got a lot of award recognition. Rightfully so, incredible book. Also loved that. This is really different. It's also about an endling in a sense. Like, it plays on that same theme, of course, but it's totally different. And I remember the first time I saw this, like, I saw the cover and I was like, good God, that is really something, and didn't think much of it. And I can't remember what compelled me to pick it up at work at the bookstore one day, but I did, and I read the blurb, and I thought, holy shit, this sounds so good. I need to read this. And so I purchased it, and this is what I read. A feminist utopia crumbles with one impossible birth. On an isolated mountaintop, a small feminist community is fracturing under the weight of ideological divides and dwindling numbers. Mila struggles to hold the women together, while deeper in the bush, her Aunt Frank, an ailing recluse, lives with only her dog, Chicken Midnight, for company. Nearby, an orchid endling approaches its own death and the extinction of its entire species. As Frank grows increasingly unwell and secretive about her condition, the community women begin mysteriously falling pregnant. Not quite. When Mila gives birth to the only boy, the hardline separatist ideals faced an impossible test. Vividly expressed, wildly funny, and wholly original, The Endling examines the volatile intersection of community and politics, exploring what happens when the borders we construct between species, between sexes, between self and world prove more porous than we imagine. Absolutely incredible premise. A feminist, utopian, speculative, eco-climate, what did Ramona Books call it? Moss punk. Incredible. This, Keely Job, a really gifted writer. I really adored how clean her prose was. It was full of character. It was super sensory. This book is like very horny, and it's a bit of a fever dream. Like, it's a total trip. There's crazy stuff happening, but I was so immersed. And it was like, it's one of those books where as I was reading it, I could not get enough, but I was also like, I don't want this to end. I don't want to be done with this. And so I'd have to like pace myself. I really wanted to be with it for as long as possible. It was so bloody good. I really like, I don't want to give too much away. I just want to like implore people to read it and understand that it is like so incredibly done. It feels like, I don't even know what this means, but it feels like deeply Tasmanian. Keely is from Tasmania, or at least lives in Tasmania, and it feels like a Tasmanian novel, and I mean that in the most complimentary way. It's so cool. I don't know if it's published anywhere outside Australia, but I really hope it is, so that you guys can all get your hands on it. It's, like I said, the best book that I read this month. It's gonna stick with me for so long. Oh my god, I freaking adored it. It was so cool. It was so unlike anything. I mean, I say it was so unlike anything, but Hexes of the Deadwood Forest is also a bit of like strange eco-erotica. Apparently Mantle by Romy Ash has a similar vibe as well. Like, maybe this is a new theme that we are gonna start seeing a little bit of, this like eco-climate, surrealist, feminist, for some reason erotica weaving into it as well. I don't know, maybe we're gonna be seeing a bit of that coming up, but I'm into it. If we are, I'm into it, and I would like to dissect why it is writers are going there. Why is that? Yeah, much to think about, I guess. But yeah, highly recommend you guys all read The Endling by Keely Job. So bloody good. Australian lit, you guys. Oh my gosh. I really want this to be published like all over the world. It needs to be. It's crazy. It's like, so often I read these incredible Australian novels and they're just not published outside of Australia. I don't know why they don't get picked up. We need something to happen there. UK publishers, US publishers, let's spread the good word. Let's open our eyes to Australian literature because there's some really incredible stuff going on. I.e., yeah, and the people want to read it, and the people should read it. So get that in you. I also finally read Reservoir Bitches by Dalia Della Cerda, I don't know. Which I got sent this when it was new, which was over a year ago. It was last year's International Booker Award. Shortlisted for it, I think. I was shortlisted for last year's International Booker. And it says it's short stories. And if you know me, you know I don't really connect with short stories that well. And so I'm not often drawn to them. And so I just could never bring myself to pick it up. Because I was like, why would I spend my time with short stories, which I just don't really feel like I get that much out of? I know that there are people who adore short story collections, and I feel like, see, here I am, I'm going straight into this like kind of caveat defense of like, just because I don't like it doesn't mean it's inherently bad, but I feel like when I say that something doesn't work for me, I feel like I'm making this grand like announcement that it is not good or something, or that people take it that way, and so I get really scared. I just personally don't really do short stories as much as I do full novels. Anyways, something compelled me to pick this up. I think that it's the fact that it has been continuing to sell at the bookstore. People are coming in and like still raving about it, and I was like, okay, fine. And here's the thing. You can get a collection of short stories that are like completely different stories, mini novels set in entirely different worlds with entirely different completely completely unrelated, like just standalone short stories. And that's where I'm like, hard to connect. Not to say that I've never loved any of those, right? Otessa Moshfegh's done it, Zadie Smith's done it, who else was I gonna say? Who did a really good short story collection? It was just in my brain. Wait, pause. Oh, Carmen Maria Machado. Is that her name? Yeah, has done it. I can, right? But not often. And then you can get a short story collection, which I'm gonna put in air quotes here because I just don't think it's the same thing, that is set in one world, in one place, whatever that place world may be, and each story is just a different character, a different protagonist, a different narrator. But it's all of one world. And that's what this is. This is all set in one Mexican kind of town, city, area. And it follows 13 different women. I guess it says in the link to stories, but I couldn't conceptualize, I guess, at the time what that means. They all know each other or are associated in some way. It's all happening within the same universe. We're just spending time with a different narrator each time. That I can do. That I really like. And this was brilliant. Like, of course, it doesn't need me to say that. Everyone already knows this is brilliant. Everyone has already said that this is brilliant. It was shortlisted for the International Booker Prize, obviously. But yeah, I had to say that I really loved it. And if something is short stories, but by that it just means that each story is a different narrator, then that's okay with me. I can get around that. Much like Rejection, right? Which is like touted as short stories, but I feel like it's more of a novel because blah, blah, blah. So yeah, if you've not picked this up because like me, you don't really do short stories, rethink your decision like I did, because it was absolutely worth the read. It was bloody fantastic. And now Dalia Della Cerda has a second book out, which is a novel. So I will be really interested to maybe check that one out, because yeah, I think her writing is fantastic. I wonder if she worked with the same translators for the second book. I'll have to have a look. But yeah, Match Made in Heaven, really, really good. I read let's go another translation. Lie With Me by, I've been saying Philippe Besson. I don't know though, I don't speak French. This is translated by Molly Ringwald randomly, and I was like, oh, funny, another person called Molly Ringwald. No, Molly Ringwald, the actor. So that's fun, good for her. This kind of felt like, he's like the male Annie Ernaux. This is sold as a novel. It's not. The protagonist is called Philippe, who goes on to be a writer, who writes books that Philippe Besson has written. Like, it's literally him. This is really interesting. I'm gonna I really want to sit down and do a bit of a deep dive Google about this bloke, and his obsession with his childhood love, Thomas Andrew, who died 10 years ago today. Rest in peace, Thomas. Did I say 10 years ago today? I don't know if it was today, but 10 years ago. But yeah, I'm curious about Philippe's sort of story and his vibe and what he's sort of going for, because yeah, it's very much, this is autobiographical. This isn't even autofiction. This is just autobiographical memoir. But yeah, it's sold as a fiction novel, and it's so interesting, and it very much felt like Annie Ernaux, in that sort of very journalistic, personal, yearning, feelings, romance, I was obsessed with this person kind of thing. Yeah, it was a lovely read. It was just really interesting. I feel like I am more interested in Philippe and his story and his vibe as a writer, and I want to go down that rabbit hole than I did enjoy the novel, if that makes sense. But he also has just had a new book come out called Summer Boy, or The Summer Boys, or something like that, which I believe is about the same thing, his little love affair with Thomas, but I could be wrong about that. But yeah, very, very interesting sort of situation here that I don't know that much about. I just knew that this was sort of a celebrated, beloved, queer, iconic book. And yeah, I always find it very interesting when a book is sold as a fictional novel, and indeed is absolutely not, and isn't even trying to hide the fact that it's not. I read the new Claire Daverley, which was not quite as fantastic, brilliant, moving, emotional, stunning, gorgeous as Talking at Night. This leans a little bit more into romance tropes. It feels, a little bit more genre-y than Talking at Night did. I was still really engrossed. I read it quite quickly. I did underline some things. I can indulge in a romance for sure. I'm literally reading a romance right now, actually, written by a man, no less. Crazy. I will talk to you about it later. I'm not even halfway through. Main characters by Bobby Palmer, but I'm liking it. So, not poo-pooing the fact that this leans more into romance, but it just it didn't quite meet Talking at Night, where Talking at Night hit me. Do you know what I mean? I also just felt like the ending was a little bit, okay. I knew that it had to end up there unless it went one other potential way, which it was set up to go and thought it would. And I was like, go Claire, that's brave, that's bold, awesome. And then it didn't, and I was like, yeah, okay. Alright, this is just a nice love story, which, again, I like a nice love story, but it didn't which I know Claire is capable of because she wrote Talking at Night. So, yeah, but people will love this, people will really like it. It is good. I just, because of Talking at Night, which, it didn't do that, so, yeah. The comparison will kill you. And then Nymph. by Sophia Montrone, a debut novel, a sweaty, sapphic yearning, coming of age, set in Italy, hot and steamy and yeah, really, really sensory. Again, much like the Endling, like the actual writing is really, yep. Anything that's like, yeah, got that sort of sense of longing and yearning and desperation and is also set in the heat of an Italian summer, something about that combo will really, really work. Like, it's such a complementary set of, I don't know, plot points. I've lost my language to speak about books. I need to go back to university. This is so humiliating. Anyway, I really liked it. It was like, it was good. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a sucker punch that's gonna stick with me forever. I'm never gonna forget this. Oh my god, everyone should read it. But it was like, yeah, it was good. It was really well written. The characters felt very full and sort of interesting. You know, they had depth. There wasn't, I think that the tension between the two love interests wasn't super intense. Like, I wasn't really feeling it. But it was like, it was an interesting narrative. It was really lovely. It was more of like, I think what affected me more was the family dynamic than the sapphic romance dynamic. That was the part that felt like it had the most sort of heart and soul. And it's interesting because I think that was based a lot on Sophia's actual family and upbringing and life. And so that makes sense, right? That that felt a lot more sort of tangible and real and gritty, and the romance was just kind of lacking something, and maybe that was the part that was more imagined and invented. So yeah, but as a debut, really good. I hope that people read it. I hope it gets picked up by lots of readers. It's American, but published by Text, which is a small Aussie press. So if you are in Australia, support Text, go get it. Yeah, really, really good. That was my reading month. I did do a couple of audiobooks as well. I've been leaning back into audiobooks because I've really just been neglecting nonfiction lately. And the way that I can do nonfiction is by doing audiobooks. And so I listened to The Eyes of Gaza by Plestia Alacard, who came into the bookstore that I work at recently, and she was so lovely and beautiful and just, yeah, really warm. And so I listened to that, which was, of course, like fucking harrowing, and also just like really, I don't know, it's very affecting to read such a like human account. Like, it's just journal entries by a young girl, and it's journal entries by a young girl who happens to be in the midst of a fucking genocide. Like, it's just, yeah, insane. But I'm really glad I listened to that. And then I also listened to Don't Burn Anyone at the Stake Today by Naomi Alderman, which I don't really know. I've never heard of her. And Other Lessons from History and Living Through an Information Crisis. But she seems like such a fun character. I'm really interested in deep diving her as a person and her work. This was a really good listen. It's very much about like, yeah, she says we're in an information crisis right now. There have been two other information crises sort of in history, one with the printing press and one of the invention of like written language, and the way that sort of was able to spawn more people's access to information. And so we're now in an information age / crisis now, and here's what we can learn from history, and here's how we are making history. And yeah, it was a really interesting, really quick, digestible listen. And yeah, she has like personality and humor that I really appreciated as well. So I liked that. And that was my June of reading.